became a female prisoner after being captured. What would be your reaction? This is a chaotic and fragmented era. Humans are classified into different levels based on the amount of magic they contain in their bodies. All other high-rank races are collectively referred to as Demon-kin. The Demon-kin rely on their own magic to conquer cities on this land. They plunder and kill in order to combat disasters. A new profession called Paladin emerged among humans to resist this. Paladins fight to protect humans with unwavering hearts. Among them, the Sky Radiant Paladin, known as the Paladin King, is revered by all paladins. However, during a battle with the vampiric race, he was seriously wounded and taken captive. The castle under the crimson moonlight looks particularly enchanting. There is a white-haired woman sitting below the floor-to-ceiling window. The woman slowly got up and greeted the Sky Radiant Paladin. The woman raised her grayish hand to lift Paladin's chin. So that's it. This is the 26th generation Scarlet Queen Lilias of the vampiric race. What will the first generation Scarlet Queen capturing Paladin do? Of course, the Straight Iron Man will come out to refute the rumors as soon as possible. If your head falls off, it's just a bowl-sized scar. The vampiric race won't get any plans out of it. But the Scarlet Queen went through great lengths. How could it be just for some trivial information? You should know that every generation of Vampire Queen has the opportunity to embrace a child of their own, passing on to the next generation. And the Paladin King is the one he chose as the successor. Lilia suddenly moved closer to the man and bit directly on the carotid artery. The sound of flowing blood and the man's screams echoed through the castle for a moment. Before long, Paladin King opened his eyes again, revealing red irises that do not belong to him, and white long hair. White Princess Rasember, a childish white-haired girl. From the respected Paladin King to a white-haired young lowly. Just need an embrace from Scarlet Queen. The hard-working laborer in front of me is the little girl mentioned earlier. Things need to be discussed starting from a year ago. In the Crimson Blood domain a year ago, the Paladin King was initially turned into a vampire by the Queen of the vampiric race. His appearance, voice, personality, and even his way of thinking all became completely different. The Queen arranged a comprehensive transformation for the White Princess from the outside to the inside in order to make her accept reality. Not only did she arrange brainwashing tutorials to make her accept her identity as a princess, she is also under full surveillance in all aspects of her life. The brainwashed White Princess looked at the images reflected on the glass. That disgusting appearance of oneself. It seems like it will never disappear. But how could the former Paladin King succumb to this? To escape, White Princess took the initiative to volunteer by expanding the influence of the vampiric race as the reason. Abandoning the human psychological defense line, she led the vampire army on the journey of conquest. And slaughter is the best disguise of White Princess. After the army left Crimson Land, the White Princess deceived everyone and escaped from the control of the vampiric race. The current White Princess has transformed into Princess White and wanders the world. Various part-time jobs are being pursued to start a new life. In order to survive, Princess White must find a formal job. But the next moment, a scream ended his new life fantasy. The security guard at the building didn't even finish explaining, and just let Princess White roll out in a graceful arc counting this failure. Today is already the 50th time, right? Listening to the rumbling of my own stomach, Princess White decided to. It's better to find a place to fill the stomach first. Then think about poetry and the distance. In the commercial street, Princess White, with a worried expression, summoned the last of his strength to order a bowl of vegetarian rice noodles. The shop owner, Uncle Wang, saw Princess White, a tall and burly man, but who ate vegetarian all day long. He felt a pang of sadness in his heart. Uncle Wang is kind-hearted. Silently, he served up a bowl of beef noodles. In this moment, under the sunshine, Uncle Wang's bald head shone brightly, touching the hearts of others. The shabby brochure on the table suddenly caught Prentice White's attention. What Paladin Templar recruitment is so shabby now? Advertising placements should also be well thought out. Forget it. It's better to focus on work. Only then can I live up to Uncle Wang's kindness. But suddenly, there was a commotion at the door. It turned out that 4 paladins were chasing a demonkin based on clues provided by their divination class colleagues. The demonkin's escape route was figured out. But only Uncle Wang shopped around to provide cover. Right? The paladins didn't care about right or wrong. They were about to start searching for the person. Uncle Wang tried to stop them, but they became more aggressive. The paladins, who looked like people but acted like dogs, had no intention of listening to the explanations from the common people. Without saying a word, they started destroying the shop. Pay attention. The paladins, who should have been protecting the innocent, were now ransacking the house. Without any evidence, they trashed Uncle Wang's noodle shop. Uncle Wang tried to prove his innocence, but was threatened and forced into a corner. Such a scene is also quite rare to witness. These days, without the Paladin badge, a Holy Power Paladin can trespass into private residences and vandalize public property at will. It's truly primitive behavior. It seems anyone can call themselves a Paladin nowadays, making true Paladins feel degraded in an instant. Call for backup immediately. Team up with your teammates for a group fight. Teammate leaped forward and thrust down with a sword, only to be easily dodged by Prentice White. Prentice White easily punched the opponent away, seeing an opening in the back. 2 paladins attempted a sneak attack from behind but missed. In an instant, he felt a chill down his back. It turned out that Prentice White was already rubbing his hands together behind him. One move caused the 2 paladins to feel the power of a concussion. Watching Prentice White resist arrest and resorting to physical violence, the brown-haired paladin drew his sword. He struck the most handsome pose. It seems that only oneself, with the most potential to become the Paladin King, can put an end to this rogue. The brown-haired paladin shouted, "Kill without mercy!" and marched forward. However, he was grabbed by the sword handle by Prentice White. Those who bear the name of killing for justice, honor, and protecting their homeland are the purest paladins buried in this silent place. The current brown-haired paladin is nothing but a bully who preys on civilians to seek a false sense of superiority. He is just trash standing on the pedestal of power. So the badge of the sky-radiant paladin with brown hair is totally undeserving. Yet the badge in his hand is like a scalding mirror, reflecting over and over. Prentice White's hands trembled slightly. Unfortunately, he is unworthy as well. Have you ever seen how quickly the two-faced nature of the most green tea-like guy changes? This brown-haired paladin only needs 0.1 seconds. One moment, he was up to mischief. The next moment, he transformed into an innocent little dog and went to the teacher to complain. The situation is not only complicated but also calculating in the dark. Prentice White wonders who his teacher is. Sky Radiant Paladin Templar Holy Flame Paladin Manga. Paladin Templar is known for caring for his disciples. Manga, of course, is. A direct slap was delivered. The blonde paladin was not happy, only stunned. That's not right. How come there's no plot development? Just go with what your heart desires. Manga is clear in her heart. Right now, she can only punish her subordinate viciously in front of everyone. Appeasing the store manager can shift the focus, qualifying the serious wrongdoing of the intern paladin as mere mistakes of a few inexperienced youths. Princess White is watching the public perception gradually improve. She also understands in her heart. Manga is still as protective as ever. But Princess White is about to run off. But Manga catches up on Paladin's attack shortly after Princess White is about to run off. The situation just now, for Manga, who has been watching in the shadows from the beginning, should be clearer than anyone else. And Princess White knows clearly that Manga's recent actions were not punishing but skillfully avoiding severe charges. Despite this, Manga finds it amusing. Actually, shouting, "Stop," to the other party is meaningless. It's just that it seems that the other party is so well versed in the path of the paladin. I want to have a duel with a paladin, and make a friend in the process. This is the most enduring male protagonist I have ever seen. Even if he becomes a paladin king, he cannot escape the fate of becoming a lowly. I want to break free from the shackles of the queen. Can only lead troops into battle by drinking fresh blood. After finally escaping bad luck and regaining manhood, I can only struggle in the human world through odd jobs. Even when having a bowl of beef noodles, the restaurant can still get smashed. The beef noodles are ruined directly. This is the painful growth story of our male lead, Prentice White. Prentice White finally couldn't bear it anymore one day. He directly took down the self-proclaimed paladin, only to encounter his former teammate and mentor, Manda. Manda was very curious about the puppeteer, who was well versed in the path of the paladin. She proposed a duel, but Prentice White refused. Manda was very familiar with Prentice White's swordsmanship. This fight would only expose the identity of the Sky Radiant Paladin, inviting more unnecessary trouble. It was more profitable to just run away. But the martial arts maniac, Manda, was determined to spar. When the invitation failed, she leaped directly at Prentice White. With a sword ablaze, she charged straight at Prentice White, clad in a clumsy, cheap demon doll costume. The fire instantly illuminated the surrounding darkness, but a figure spinning 360 degrees suddenly emerged from the flames. Land smoothly. Although Manda's attack was dodged, her smile grew wider. I haven't encountered such a high-level opponent in a long time. But in this paladin duel, one cannot be the only one armed with a sword. Without even thinking, Manda handed a weapon to Prentice White. But Prentice White did not catch the sword thrown to him. Since the sword moves would be recognized, he chose to confront without a weapon. But this action from Manda made her feel arrogant. Manda showed her true skills at this point. The flames on the sword suddenly ignited strongly. It turns out that Manda's holy power is attached to the blade of the sword. Surging up, the high-pressure scorching lava turned into a fire dragon, rushing towards Prentice White with the sword hilt. However, Prentice White reached out to catch the falling leaves in front of him at a crucial moment. A loud collision sounded. The scene fell silent as a pin dropped. Manda looked at the ground. The sunken crater silently filled with disappointment. Is this really the end? Arrogant juniors. In the end, they will come to regret it. They don't see the usefulness. But how could our male lead have died just like that? Prentice White slowly approached Manda from behind to give instructions. The moves were good. Just that. Too slow. The uploader thought, it's time to show off. This esteemed mentor in front of me is actually wielding a knife against regular people when facing an unarmed masked doll. Since you've used it, a high-pressure scorching flame that can tear through thousands of troops in an instant, with the occurrence of a massive explosion. In the mist, only an empty pit is left, and a confused-looking mentor Manda. It turns out that the puppeteer had long been lurking behind the mentor. Manda launched 3 moves in a row, but all of them were dodged by the puppeteer. From this point on, Manda started to become flustered. This duel must not be lost. Otherwise, it will end up just like that person. The next second, the puppeteer had already caught Manda's sword-swinging hand. Hey. Getting distracted during a duel can cost you your life, you know? So far, Manda remembered every bit of guidance provided by Sky Radiant Paladin. It turned out that the puppeteer was the former Sky Radiant Paladin, on the verge of being exposed. Seeing that the other party had not yet realized, Prentice White quickly waved his hand as a gesture and pretended to leave, not wanting to take advantage of the elderly. The brown-haired paladin was persistent and relentless, but he was held down by a punch from the mentor. The arrogant tone. The posture could not be that of his own teacher. On the other side, Prentice White ran away to prevent retaliation from the brown-haired paladin. Can only choose to discard the doll costume. It seems that today's income will be 0, just like the content creators. Princess White suddenly noticed the blood on the ground. Dripping little by little towards the corner, a pair of trembling cat eyes within it are staring at Princess White. Encounter a cute Kimonomi girl in a different world. What should I do? Over here. Our male lead, Princess White, just discovered a shivering pink-haired little Kimonomi girl. The half-cat race is naturally frail to begin with. It's even harder for the cubs to survive. But keeping Deepens in secret is a serious crime. In the moment of hesitation, the little Kimonomi girl was already trembling and pleading for mercy. This helpless Kimonomi girl was just hungry and looking for something to eat. What's wrong with that? Princess White took a step closer. The little Kimonomi girl excitedly started calling for help. But Princess White only took out a plush pendant. Alright. This human has no ill intentions. It looks like the brown-haired paladin is looking for this cutie. Upon closer inspection, it seems that the injury on Kimonomi girl is not serious. Just as Princess White was about to bandage Kimonomi girl, there was an untimely sound coming from behind. It's all right. The newcomer is not a little brown hair. But now, the eyes don't look like a good person either. The black and red uniform seems familiar. But as soon as he spoke, he was ready to pin the betrayal of humanity on Princess White. Ha, spurn. You shouldn't eat randomly, and you can't speak randomly either. This kind of accusation is not something everyone can bear. But the glasses have begun to be shameless at this moment. Since Princess White does not intend to hand over Deepens, only the Paladin Templar stationed in the city can make the judgment. At that time, both Princess White and Deepens will receive the fairest judgment. And our know-it-all King Princess White is already beyond bothering with beating around the bush. After all, who wants to be a tattletale? They appear in front of others, deliberately showing off. It's just a deliberate calculation for negotiating terms, isn't it? Because just now this red-haired man has taken a liking to the animal-eared lowly. After all, Deepens are not allowed to exist in human cities. And he now needs a Deepens like Lolita to conduct some inhuman experiments. The sensible Lolita doesn't want to involve the protagonist Princess White and his family, even when she hears that she is about to face horrific body experiments. The kind girl still voluntarily cooperates with the red-haired man and leaves with him. But Princess White, who has no strings attached, won't stand idly by. He snatched the Lolita, agilely dodged the attack from the red-haired man, even tripping him to the ground. Princess White, who once harbored a deep hatred towards the Deepens, is now lending a helping hand. But the redhead man's blood pressure soared due to this behavior. He then called for the mature-looking lady, who was idling to come help quickly. The mature-looking lady heard. The mature-looking lady walked slowly over. The YouTuber is offering a high price for a pair of red-haired man's eyes. The mature woman raised her foot. Then she stomped on the red-haired man's nose bridge, crushing it. So these two people are not scientific weirdos who dissect Lolitas in the first place. This is just a test to see if Princess White has the qualification to help those in need. They are members of the Lunar Paladin Order who are specially inviting Princess White to join. After all, only people like Princess White, who are powerful and willing to protect the weak, are welcome. Only then will you have the qualification to become a member of the Lunar Paladin Order. Each member of the Lunar Paladin Order has nothing to do with race or beliefs. Only those with sincere hearts can join. Listening to the two of them singing in harmony about racial unity, brainwashing rhetoric. The more Princess White thought about it, the more he felt that this Lunar Paladin Order was even less reliable. It's not enough to rely on ideals when you're out in the world. Only fools who can only see ideals and ignore reality have no future. Moreover, in case Princess White's identity as both a Paladin King and Deepens is exposed. If Princess White, who is neither human nor admits to being of the vampiric race, falls into a desperate situation again. Oh! Since you, Princess White, mentioned reality. How are you going to support this girl if you can't feed yourself or make ends meet? Princess White is just a jobless wanderer now. Follow Princess White, and you'll go hungry for 3 days out of 9. Princess White can endure cold and hunger. Are you willing to let this girl suffer with you? The mature woman who enlightens with emotions and moves with logic wants to bring the lowly back to the Paladin's order. This little girl named Kur is already an orphan. What kind of good life can one have by following this homeless wanderer? But Kur seemed to have an indescribable trust in Princess White. 3 days of going hungry for 9 meals, she had already become accustomed to it. As long as she could be with Princess White, anything would do. Now, people with and without financial means were all silent. The atmosphere escalated to this point, and the red-haired man finally revealed his true colors. Come to our Paladin's order, we can support 2 of you, with 5 insurances and 1 fund. Oh, this is what Princess White wanted to talk about. Originally, he wanted to refuse, but they gave too much. In that case, red-haired man Tuo Lin and mature woman Ear will take Kur back to headquarters to settle down. They agreed to meet again tomorrow to take Princess White to headquarters for testing. Today was really a day full of ups and downs. I failed the interview in the morning and lost the job at the amusement park. At noon, I saw an injustice happening and got into a fight with the active paladins. In the afternoon, I encountered a demon-kin lowly joining the Lunar Paladin Order. A regular citizen's day is indeed busy. It is precisely because of such a high-energy consumption day that drawbacks arise. Princess White, who was shaken, felt a familiar yet fearful sensation. At that moment, he could even see the blood vessel patterns of pedestrians clearly. Seeing the flowing fresh blood made his throat instinctively contract. He struggled to stop himself from pouncing on the pedestrians around him. Otherwise, in a matter of seconds, his bloodthirsty self could easily drain a normal human like squeezing water from a plastic bottle. Princess White, in a situation that demanded urgent action, swiftly ran towards his residence. He could hardly imagine the insane actions he might take if he was unable to get blood soon. He rushed into the deserted narrow alley in a flash. With a single kick, he bounced out to a height that would shock even a pole vaulter's pupils. Princess White, who landed smoothly, didn't even have time to catch his breath before he rushed to the refrigerator and grabbed the blood bags from the compartment. At that moment, he was as savage as a starving wild beast, drinking down tons of blood. As the icy liquid flowed through his body, Princess White's figure also gradually began to change. The slim-fitting clothes that used to be worn now appeared loose and enticing. Looking at Princess White before them, where was there any resemblance to the original human male characteristics? This was clearly a fair-skinned and pretty girl with twin ponytails. Of course, she also had a name she herself was unwilling to admit. White Princess, take note. Who could have imagined this girl with a beautiful face but tattered clothes? She turned out to be a bad woman who used others' sympathy to cheat money? The story begins with Princess White arriving early at the agreed meeting place. She had to wait for the members of the Lunar Paladin Order to take her to their headquarters for a test. However, the contact person did not show up. But instead, he was met by this pitiful little girl. The girl earnestly expressed that she really needed money. Princess White also wondered why this girl was not yet at the age to earn money. The girl took the opportunity to recount how her parents had fallen victim to the demon-kin. This activated the compassion of the righteous Avenger Princess White. Just looking at the pitiful appearance of the girl, even Princess White himself could not control his emotions. But who could see such a beautiful and moving little one in distress, and not feel sorry for her? Princess White bought all her candies, and the girl immediately smiled brightly. She said thank you, and then hurriedly ran away. Members of the Lunar Paladin Order, who came to meet with Princess White, witnessed quite a show. They bluntly stated that Princess White is indeed, as rumored, overflowing with sympathy and easily deceived. She let Princess White see for himself whether the bag contained candies or glass beads. A pitiful appearance and a touching story were enough to deceive Princess White. She sighed. There are actually fools in this world who think they are saviors. However, Princess White was still willing to make amends for the bad woman's humanity and kindness. Who would want to come out and deceive others if they weren't in real financial difficulties? This really caught the girl who came for the rendezvous off guard. This middle-aged man is indeed quite naive. What Princess White didn't expect was that the bad woman ran into an empty alley. She actually counted the few coins in her wallet. She complained that there were only a few coins, wasting her superb acting skills. But it didn't matter anyway, since there were plenty of fat lambs to be slaughtered on the street. She took out a few cheap candies and threw them into the box. Then she slipped out of the alley to find her next batch of fat lambs. And the undercover girl did not dispel Princess White's fantasy of a better world. Anyway, she's just here to pick up Princess White and take him to the headquarters of the Lunar Paladin Order. What kind of person is Princess White, and what is the relationship with her? There is nothing to chat about with this annoyingly good guy along the way. The girl said they had arrived, but Princess White was stunned. Isn't this supposed to be the public restroom? Where is the headquarters we agreed on? The girl was too lazy to argue with him. He has to go in whether it's the headquarters or the restroom. Just walk in obediently. However, inside this restroom is a hidden paradise. Once it detects that a recruit is entering, the disguise screen shatters, revealing the grand entrance to the Lunar Paladin Order. Although it is called the headquarters of the Paladin's Order, it is actually just a branch entrance. Because the Paladin's Order operates in secrecy, such security measures are necessary. Just keep in mind that the smell near the entrance might be a bit strong. No problem, after all, today is just for taking a test. It's rare that our Princess White arrived punctually for the interview. Just see if this entrance test is complicated. It can also indirectly show whether the Lunar Paladin Order is a legitimate organization. The examiners see that the last newcomer has arrived as well. The test was conducted immediately, and the recruited newcomers were asked to enter quickly, after the sand runs out. Newcomers who can still stand on the field are considered to have passed the strength test. The hosts initially wanted the newcomers to be tested one by one. However, they were interrupted by the examiners. No matter how many details there are, they are just details. Going together can save the examiner's time. Tuol-Lin hurriedly looked towards the examiners in the field. Oh my God! Why is it him in this test? This examiner Morton is known for his bad temper. In his exams, he never goes easy on anyone. After all, if you can't even pass the exam, there's no way you can make it to the battlefield. It's better to give up being a paladin early if your skills are not up to par. And not all these freshmen are clueless. Some of them take the lead. Let's treat it as a 4-player dungeon, with a tank, healer, assassin, and warrior each doing their part. If we all team up, we should be able to drag it out until the end of the time, right? But this group of rookies underestimated the ferocity of Morton. The idea of turning the tables in a desperate situation and winning against the stronger opponent is just a cliché from novels. Don't bother dreaming for self-righteous small fry like them. Morton casually flicked his hand and knocked away 3 newbies. The leader's strategy was exposed on the spot, leaving only him in the field. But taking advantage of Morton's defensive move, he quietly approached. There were only 5 people in the field, and now only he, the tank, remained. Morton didn't ignore him. He simply never saw him as a threat. It's better to go home and have some milk with such little strength. So, of the 5 people who came to test today, only Princess White is left. The red-haired man Tuol-Lin knows that Prentina White has some kung fu skills. But why would this violent muscle man Princess White dare to challenge him? Morton, who has the strength of a golden rank paladin. Princess White is going to fight him barehanded. Anyway, even if you want to die, it doesn't have to be so straightforward. Princess White didn't say anything, just responded with a confident smile. The host and the staff also saw such an interesting newcomer for the first time. They advised Morton to be mindful of his actions. Morton, feeling annoyed after looking at Princess White's smiling face, asked, I'm standing still as the examiner, and you're also standing still? But Morton wouldn't just let Princess White pass the test by dragging it out. He couldn't contain his anger and grabbed the giant axe to strike forcefully. I'll let my mom handle this. Morton couldn't stand a young man standing still pretending to be superior. Will Princess White really act like a superior, or end up humiliated? Morden showed no mercy and directly aimed for the neck. What resonated was the sound of clashing gold and iron. Although people present did consider that Prentice White has some strength, but they didn't expect this man to be so outrageous. He actually lightly blocked this fierce attack with just one hand. The sharp axe blade only managed to cut off a few strands of his hair. Since the other party is playing for real, Prentice White didn't hold back either. However, just a fierce horizontal attack is not enough. Sensing that Prentice White is not easy to deal with, Morden then exerted all his strength for the next move. The giant axe fiercely sprayed forward with blazing flames. One strike of earthquake strike blasted the ground where Prentice White was into a myriad of cracks. This trick of deception that the instructor played out is really not something that can be easily dealt with. However, in the next second, Prentice White emerged from the smoke like nothing had happened. A punch made Morden's nasal bone want to run away from home. Prentice White's ordinary attack sent Morden flying backwards for more than 10 meters. The instructor was defeated, and the time happened to run out. "Do you think I passed the test?" The referee dared not delay, and quickly gave the intimidating Prentice White the green light. After having Prentice White sign to confirm, he was dismissed to do the written test. Watching the unusual figure of this man, the referee remembered the name of this impressive man. Just then, a mysterious figure in a windbreaker walked up behind the referee. This person gave high praise to Prentice White. Prentice White's strength is at least on par with a Lord-rank expert. If someone were to monitor him, it would only damage his favorable impression of the Paladin's order. Let him stay honest in his current appearance. The referee then shifted his focus and asked the mysterious person what are the chances of him winning in a battle against Prentice White. The mysterious person paused for a moment and replied, "Possibly, it's hard to say." After finishing the bizarre written test, Prentice White was looking around for the guide to Loli-Can, but couldn't find him. Instead, he was attacked from behind by a cute little creature. This little creature happened to be Kur, the Kemonomi girl that Prentice White had entrusted to Loli-Can. First of all, I'm not a Kemonomi girl fan. But isn't dressing up the little girl in a maid outfit a bit? I reaffirm that I am not a Kemonomi girl fan, but she is really cute. Prentice White is a bit overwhelmed, allowing the beast-eared Kur to wander around the base. What if Kur, who is demon, gets reported by other humans? Should we dress up this well-behaved little girl in a maid outfit? This is your so-called promise to take good care of us. Loli-Can couldn't help but feel wronged. The maid outfit was clearly something that Kur wanted to wear on her own accord. As for being afraid of humans discovering Kur's demon identity, what's so surprising here in the half-cat race's activity zone? Kur and Prentice White's relationship. In the future, Prentice White will be Kur's guardian, taking care of Kur's daily life. But Prentice White is just a big man. He is actually a bloodthirsty vampire lowly behind the scenes. If he spends a lot of time with Kur, it is inevitable that one day his identity will be exposed. Even though Kur already considers him as her only master, he can only refuse to share a bed with Loli-Can and Kur, who can't believe it. He's afraid that his other self would scare Kur, causing psychological trauma. Prentice White had to refuse by saying he prefers to live alone. And Loli-Can is somewhat dissatisfied with Prentice White's attitude. Do you think he came here on vacation? The resources in the dormitory are limited anyway. Either you stay with Kur, or you squeeze into a dorm room with 3 big guys. You choose. Besides, doesn't Prentice White want to experience raising a Kemonomi girl? I thought that it would be easier to expose my identity living under the same roof with 3 big men. Prentice White could only nod in agreement. Soon, Loli-Can handed the dorm key to Kur to take care of it first. Seeing Prentice White getting ready to chase after Kur, Loli-Can stopped him with words. He knew that Prentice G had a paladin background, but he didn't delve into it. It was enough for him to ask Prentice White to take good care of Kur in the future. Prentice White naturally nodded in agreement. Kur, who was running and playing happily in the corridor, was also looking forward to the new life, but accidentally twisted her foot and fell to the side. Luckily, a slender hand caught her in time. The owner of the delicate hands turned out to be a vampire with sharp fangs and red eyes. The moment Kur was caught was witnessed by Prentice White, who was following behind. Vampires are synonymous with cold-bloodedness, bloodthirstiness, and cruelty. Prentice White knows better than anyone how vile the nature of this species can be. Even he would involuntarily fall into the bloodthirsty hell. Watching Kur fall into the hands of these villains, Prentice White, in a moment of desperation, grabbed a sword from the nearby supply box and rushed towards the treacherous vampire. A fierce gust of wind struck where the vampire was, but her species' advantage allowed her to effortlessly evade the attack. She fixed her gaze on which scum wanted to put her to death. And Prentice White has already tightly protected Kur behind him. "Vile vampire, you are not allowed to get close to Kur." "Oh no! Prentice White's vampire PTSD has flared up again!" And Kur is also anxious to explain to Prentice White that the young lady is not a bad person. However, as soon as she spoke, she shouted, "Master, Linda misunderstood in an instant." Is it appropriate for such a young child to call him Master? Just thinking about it is so upsetting. Oh no, I mean it's so infuriating. Compared to vampire, which man's despicable behavior is worse. And vampire is also classified into 3 categories. Prentice White feels an incredibly familiar magic power. This girl. She also shares the same, Lasambo, royal bloodline as herself. And at the thought of the cruel atrocities committed by the Lasambo vampires, the equally uncontrollable Prentice White became even more frantic. One with bias against vampires, one thought they had encountered a perverted Lolita enthusiast. The first meeting between Linda and Prentice White was filled with drama. Since Prentice White made the first move, it was necessary for Linda to give him a good education. This pervert, who lacks the values of a paladin and has a pedophilic tendency. The sharp blood-red whip almost blocked all of Prentice White's movements. But in the eyes of a ruthless vampire, fully exerting himself, Prentice White seized a momentary gap to launch a deadly strike. Linda also felt really unlucky to encounter such a powerful pervert, even in the safest base. Prentice White also didn't think that breaking ties with Linda would completely kill the other party. "I can smell the stench of your vampire from 800 miles away." Prentice White is very familiar with vampire tricks. The opponent quickly regenerates a body enscathed behind him. Linda seizes the opportunity and swiftly strikes down with her whip. Prentice White, who arrives next, also takes a shot with his knife as a follow-up move. Both of them went all out in the fight and surprisingly reached a stalemate. Both rarely encountered opponents and were amazed by each other's strength. They were planning to exchange a few more moves. But a stern shout stopped the fight. It turned out that sensible Kur promptly brought Ear over. Ear was also angry. Someone was fighting in the base. They even used deadly moves. Isn't this a blatant disregard for base rules? Prentice White turned around and saw that it was Ear who had invited them to join the group. And Ear was furious. Prentice White dared to challenge the Paladin's order mentor on the first day of reporting. She couldn't imagine how bold she would be in the future. Being interrupted by Ear, Prentice White quickly calmed down. "What? This vampire is a Paladin's order mentor." Ear stated that, as long as one adheres to the Paladin creed, they accept anyone, be it orc, vampire, or something else. While Prentice White completely disbelieves these claims, he is all too aware of the dark nature of vampires. What creed can these pests, who incite war and slaughter innocent beings, have? Linda also understood that the bias of this human man was too severe. But Linda was also too lazy to explain anything to this stinky bug of a man. Why does Prentice White insist on the narrow justice of incompatible with demon-kin? Why reach out to Kur, who has nowhere to hide in the alleyway? Isn't she also demon-kin? Linda spoke up. Each race has both moderate and extreme members. Justice and kindness are not exclusive to humans. Can you guarantee that there are no morally corrupt individuals among humans? Prentice White was left speechless by these words. Ear also adjusted her attitude, stating that if Prentice White did not agree with their beliefs, They could report the existence of the Lunar Paladin Order to the regular Army Paladins Order at any time. But at that time, it would not only be Linda and Kur. All demon-kin here, who embrace kindness and justice, will be arrested because of him. For the sake of narrow justice. Would you be willing to push so many innocent lives into the abyss like this? Prentice White first realized that his double-standard justice was biased. Kur, who sensed the oppressive atmosphere, spoke up to help Prentice White break the deadlock. The master is already very tired. Let him go back to the dormitory and rest first. Ear also noticed that Prentice White did not argue back, indicating that he was reflecting on the matter. So she stopped pressing the point further. Whether you go back to being a common person in the marketplace or stay here, it's up to you. You decide. After saying this, they led Linda away. Oh, one more thing. Whether you stay or leave, today's loss at the base will be your responsibility. If he leaves, where will he go to earn money to pay off debts? He is the spiritual pillar of humanity, Paladin King Sky Radiant. Oh, of course. That was before he went missing. He is now just a junior member who has rejoined the second-rate Paladin's Order. As for why Prentice White's face is covered in medical tape, it all started with the Promote Friendship game proposed by Mentor to All Lin. The so-called Promote Friendship game is just a game where 4 people split into 2 teams and play a 3-legged race. The losing team has to clean the playground for a week. That's all. Can this pair of enemies, Linda and Prentice White, resolve their grievances through this game? How did they get so drunk after just a few dishes? It would be considered lucky if they don't plot against each other. Where does the idea of Promote Friendship come from? The next project is surprisingly consistent as well. Linda manages to trick Prentice White in every game they play. It looks like the honor of cleaning the playground all week belongs to them. This is also why Prentice White is covered in bandages. Luckily, today we only need to go out to purchase supplies. Then we don't have to clean the playground. However, the battle-sensitive Prentice White sensed that the ground was shaking abnormally. This vibration even cracked the walls and gradually spread out. Something's not right. Is this an earthquake? The intense shaking quickly spread to the ground. The panicked crowd crazily surged towards the open area. This earthquake seems unusual. After all, this is not a region known for frequent earthquakes, right? However, the little girl who was knocked down by the earthquake is about to be flattened by a sign. Prentice White, who is helping others, is now too busy to take care of the little girl. At this critical moment of life and death, Prentice White can no longer worry about exposing the Paladin King's identity, and is preparing to go all out. But a graceful figure appeared in front of him, taking the lead before him. The falling sign smashed heavily onto her. Linda was struck heavily on the head by the heavy sign. However, she was worried about the urgent time and afraid that the little girl would turn her head and see that she was a vampire. She sternly scolded the little girl to hurry up and escape. Prentice White, who was single-minded, didn't understand why Linda didn't use her magic power to break free. Linda saw that Prentice White simply didn't understand how scared humans were of demon-kin. She bluntly said that Prentice White was indeed an idiot. Just experiencing an earthquake was enough to make people panic. Using magic power would only make the crowd more chaotic, right? This move once again won Prentice White's favor. It seems that helping the weak is not a specialty unique to humans, Linda analyzed. The scale of this earthquake requires requesting support from headquarters. However, Prentice White has a feeling in the back of her mind. It's not as simple as just an earthquake. He needs to investigate the source of the earthquake clearly. Linda listened silently to Prentice White's analysis. Prentice White's activities are none of her concern, but Prentice White had better come back alive, otherwise, there would be no one to collect his body. This aloof vampire clumsily showed concern for Prentice White for the first time. The perception of each other seemed to have improved in both of their minds. Prentice White arrived at the epicenter of the earthquake. He happened to hear that there were still people trapped in the building on the verge of collapse. Prentice White quickly entered the building for rescue. The second miss evacuated everyone else, but accidentally got left behind. The culprits of this incident targeted this pretty young lady. "Where are you going, little beauty?" The highly distinguished second miss was targeted by the lustful troll. The crude troll grabbed the girl's neck. But his accomplice reminded him that time was limited and they couldn't do things here. They had already obtained the barrier interference device of Protective Barrier Town. If he liked the girl, he could deal with her after they returned. The troll understood the urgency of the matter and nodded in agreement. Then he punched the girl, who was trying to resist until she wilted. Two trolls destroyed the building in broad daylight, taking away the protective barrier obstacle device and kidnapping the esteemed second miss. Where did all the paladin defenders of the city go? The content creator said, "When things go awry, there must be a demon at play." In such dire circumstances, still being able to bring a glimmer of hope to the dying girl. Only the pendant left by Brother Paladin served as consolation for oneself. When Paladin King was still around, he was like a sword at the throat of the demon-kin. All the weak could seek refuge under his radiance. "Let this emblem be a token of our fate. Pray to it when you face danger next time. No matter how far, I will come to your side." The resolute words and upright figure, from this moment on, firmly imprinted in the young girl's mind. The grown-up girl prayed silently at this most helpless moment. She understood that reality is not a fairy tale. But at this moment, praying was her only hope. However, although the probability of miracles happening is very low, it is not zero. In this building on the verge of collapse, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared out of nowhere. The girl was somewhat embarrassed to see this unfamiliar middle-aged man stepping forward. Are there still people who haven't been evacuated and are trapped in the building? The two troll brothers just glanced at Princess White with disdain, since it didn't take much effort to deal with an ordinary human. The troll rudely threw the girl to the ground. The tall figure picked up the club and menacingly advanced towards Princess White. With a simple act of violence, the club was swung down. Is this uncle really looking for trouble? I never expected this human uncle to be so nimble. The power is so strong that even a kick in the air can send the troll flying dozens of meters away. Another troll instantly lunges forward. He never expected that there was such a skilled person like Princess White among humans. But in his eyes, it was just SOSO. This uncle looks like a glass cannon with high output but low HP. The troll easily slapped Princess White away. The anxious girl urged him to escape quickly without worrying about her safety. But in Princess White's opinion, is this really going to work? A stubborn good person won't back down just because of a slap. Protecting citizens is our paladin's responsibility. The troll gave him plenty of time to be arrogant. Next, it's time to send Princess White on his way. However, the powerful punch encountered a hard object. Princess White used his holy power for the first time. Magic power far beyond human level surged out from Princess White's body. The huge thrust directly pushed the troll back into the corner. He couldn't understand why humans possess such terrifying magic power. And Princess White couldn't understand the demonkin either. They like to classify species based on the level of magic power. Since they consider humans to be a lower-class species with low magic power reserves, he felt it necessary to show these two trolls today. His title, Sky Radiant Paladin King, is definitely an exception. Isn't the paladin in front of him the brother paladin, in his mind? He really responded to the prayers to save himself. The troll looked at this paladin with a completely different momentum. The unique armor reminded him of that person. Oops. Ran into a tough opponent. However, the troll who was kicked flying showed no real skill. Just because you are wearing armor, you think you can defeat a powerful troll? This time, Princess White didn't even bother dodging, easily taking the blow. Shortly after, the troll only felt a strong force coming through its hands. The dazzling sword techniques then cut him alive into two pieces. This is the power of Sky Radiant that makes countless demonkin terrified. Facing the sneak attack from the remaining trolls, Demon Flame, attack. Princess White brutally chopped it into two. Now the troll was even more convinced that this person was not an ordinary paladin. Can the little girl next to Princess White withstand the demon flame that is ineffective against Princess White? The content creator said, I'm really embarrassed. If you can't win, just run. Male lead Princess White makes a heroic entrance once again to save the familiar girl. After returning the unconscious girl to her maid at home, he received an urgent call from mentor Tuolin. Notify him to come back quickly. The maid Kur has been kidnapped by Troll. Princess White's heart trembled at the promise to protect Kur made by Tuolin. 3 hours before Kur's kidnapping, as Kur was still struggling to decide on an outfit for Princess White, she was unaware that Troll had quietly infiltrated the town. A large, silent black figure stood at the entrance of the shop. Shortly after, there was a loud bang as the glass door was shattered. The content creator thought to themselves, why are the villains always so exaggerated when they appear? Why can't they be more subtle? Facing the sudden attack, the 2 bodyguards who were traveling with Kur instantly tensed up. The heavy footsteps echoed in the empty clothing store. The passing troll immediately recognized Kur's identity. Isn't this pussycat who sneaked away from second brother? The alert bodyguard swiftly rushed forward. But this troll, seeing the imminent danger, remained motionless. He swung his warhammer, shook the ground violently, and sent the 2 attackers flying with a strong blow. The elusive magic rune hinted at the opponent's invincible royal identity. Bodyguard A was crushed to death by an Imperial Troll's hammer before he could finish instructing Kur to escape. The troll recognized the Paladin's order emblem on the bodyguard's clothes. It remembered the contact person on the human side mentioning this Paladin's order. I didn't expect the runaway pussycat to have connections with the Paladin's order. A phishing plan was immediately conceived in its mind. Does this pussycat have any other practical value? When Kur regained consciousness, she found herself in the wilderness. In front of her were a group of fierce and evil-looking troll followers. Although they did not have any sinister intentions towards her at the moment, it was evident that the members of the Paladin's order would eventually come looking for her. This place was clearly a trap set up to use Kur as bait. The rescue team had already planned the route for her rescue. And the most crucial part is to utilize the special abilities of the villain, Little Sarah, switching positions with Kur to ensure her safety. It's easy to say that Kur is safe, but isn't Little Sarah in danger now? In the end, isn't your own household servant more important? Princess White still can't let go of his prejudice against Little Sarah. He extended his left hand and made a solemn promise. Not only Kur, if it were you who got caught, I would also rush there promptly. Are we partners, aren't we? Little Sarah looked at the kind old man seriously for the first time. But whether to take the risk depends on her mood. Princess White also stopped talking too much. He just needed to attract attention according to the plan. The rest of the team members had time to move back to rescue people. Unfortunately, the way he attracted attention was a bit sloppy. Several Imperial trolls were not surprised at all by the sudden appearance of this human. They were already prepared to ambush and kill a few members of the Lunar Paladin order before leaving. Only the old acquaintance in blue on the side appeared a bit flustered by Princess White's arrival. He had just escaped from the hands of this elusive human. However, the leading Imperial troll sneered at Princess White's solitary arrival. It seems that the Lunar Paladin's order is a group of cowards. The Imperial troll admires Princess White's courage to come alone. He generously decides to leave this daring human with a complete corpse. The 2 individuals, drastically different in size, but similar in magic power reserves, collide forcefully. Just using his human body to withstand the attacks of the Imperial troll. The troll praised Princess White repeatedly and ignited fierce fighting spirit. After several rounds of fierce exchanges, neither side emerged victorious. Princess White, who seems calm on the surface. In fact, he has already been shaken by the opponent's strong physique and his hands are trembling a bit. At this moment, the previous troll grabbed Kur's neck and threatened Princess White that if he dared to resist, Kur would be smashed into a pulp. Previously, it relied on a sneak attack to escape from the little girl. It has no sense of honor. Princess White, whose strength was already top-notch, suddenly could only stand still in place. He watched in horror as the hammer came crashing towards him. If an ordinary person took this hit, their body would be shattered into pieces. Princess White was smashed into the wall like a shooting star, leaving Kerr feeling helpless despite her frantic heart. How will the isolated and helpless Princess White survive this predicament? The uploader feels that the protagonist will probably use their ultimate move again. Is it because you're too weak? IF asterisk asterisk asterisk. The uploader says. Enough talking, let's fight. Princess White broke through Imperial Troll's defense in just one sentence. A strange orange light suddenly emanated from the magic runes covering Troll's body. In extreme anger, it activated the magical power originating from its bloodline. The power of this move could even be life-threatening for Princess White. However, this attack was not aimed at Princess White. It was aimed at Linda and little Zizi, who were secretly observing from the roof. Troll's sacred bloodline had long sensed these secretive mice. The destructive impact illuminated this secluded countryside as bright as day. Thunder Hobby, who was preparing to rendezvous nearby, broke out in a cold sweat at this moment. The tricks of human beings are so laughable in the face of absolute power. The troll knew that this group of people wanted to cheat, so it secretly saved Kerr and launched a deadly blow at a critical moment. This is the fate of human beings who betray troll royalty. And Princess White remained silent. Their plan had already revealed a flaw. Kerr did not save anyone, but now Linda and little Zizi's fate is uncertain. As a selfish person, little Sarah doesn't quite understand why these fools are working so hard. That's because the Imperial Troll is enslaving their half-cat race kingdom. Just for a little maid, so many lives are lost. Is it really worth it? Tuol-Lin seems to sense little Sarah's lack of approval for this group of passionate fools. Being a paladin mentor himself, he feels it is necessary to guide this lost girl. I don't think what they did is a foolish behavior. The saying goes, only when the first victim appears, will there be people stepping forward to help, which will encourage more people to be willing to remove racial discrimination and help others. And Paladin will never put companions in danger. After listening to Tuol-Lin's speech, little Sarah couldn't help but recall the words of that old kind person. He will always show up promptly in times of danger as long as it is a companion. She is obviously a fool that she couldn't even look at directly. However, the words she speaks carry a convincing sense of conviction. This made the selfish little Sarah curious about the word, companion, for the first time. The solution to the current dilemma is for little Sarah to use her abilities to switch positions with Kerr. But in that case, there is no guarantee that she can escape from the danger herself. The former self would definitely scoff at the behavior of risking one's life. But now, the word companion seems to have cast a spell and deeply attracted her attention. After speaking, Tuol-Lin noticed little Sarah suddenly gritted her teeth and stomped her foot. Just let her see whether these so-called companions are truly reliable. Hey, big dummy, little Sarah greeted the blue-skinned troll saying, Good evening. The troll who was grasping Kerr's neck suddenly heard a strange female voice coming from his hand. The insidious little Sarah looked at the shocked troll with a hint of playfulness. Then, she deftly broke free from the troll's control with a knee thrust. The nearby Imperial Troll and the astonished Princess White were both stunned. Agility is the innate talent of the half-cat race, and the hit-and-run tactic completely changed the course of the battle. The angry troll couldn't handle it, and gave up directly. The large-scale demon flames compressed little Sarah's movement space in clusters. Taking advantage of her agile movement, little Sarah was momentarily distracted. The Imperial Troll, who appeared without warning, grabbed her tail. With a ruthless move, he smashed her against the wall, incapacitating her. Her companions who promised to protect her now stood dumbfounded on the side. The fear originating from memories of the troll race suddenly surged in her mind. Did she end up believing Princess White's nonsense after all? The sound of gold and iron clashing suddenly rang out. No one can bully his companions in front of Princess White. Stupid! The palm of Imperial Troll bloomed with a dazzling light like the sun. The impact from the sacred bloodline finally landed on Prentice White. Under this destructive impact, can Prentice White still stand unscathed? Imperial Troll sneered mockingly. After all, humans are just humans. In the shocked eyes of his companions, Prentice White flew out like a kite with a broken string. Now, little Sarah is left behind again for a tete-a-tete with the troll. The troll grabbed the fragile little Sarah. He was too lazy to bother smashing this Nico girl, and instead lifted her out of the window. He wanted this cat race toy to fly out, just like the human who had been thrown out. It fell, and turned into a puddle of mud. After saying that, he fiercely threw little Sarah out of the window several tens of meters high. Killing a few members of the Paladin's order could also be considered quite a remarkable achievement. The incident happened suddenly, and the companions who were ready to provide support did not expect this move from the other side. And little Sarah also began to regret participating in this operation during the final moments of her life. Trustworthy partners are all bullshit. It's just an excuse to justify using her in the operation. However, a mutation suddenly occurred. Little Sarah, who was falling rapidly, was suddenly enveloped by a group of blood-red bats, stopping her descent. People had not had time to figure out what had happened. A slender figure slowly drifted down onto the head of the troll. The troll thought another person coming to their death. But when they saw the newcomer's face clearly, they were frozen in place by the opponent's blood-red and captivating pupils under the moonlight. Little Sarah never imagined being sent back inside the house again. Just save people if you're saving them. Why send them back to the enemy's face? She looked at the girl with red eyes and white hair. The other side has a stunning appearance and hair as white as moonlight. And those bright red eyes are a symbol of her extraordinary nature. The troll, who already had a guess in mind, suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. This petite girl completely disregarded the troll, who was muscular all over. She affectionately cuddled close to the just rescued little Sarah. And little Sarah, looking at this beautiful and charming lifesaver, was also taken aback. The other party actually kissed her hand in such a perilous atmosphere. It made little Sarah blush, and completely confused about the situation. The White Princess, who had everything under control, invited little Sarah to dance with her. The two girls even treated the fierce troll as if it were invisible. Turned this filthy abandoned building in the suburbs into the Vienna Opera House. Danced a waltz called Death together. Imperial Troll did not know what the other side was doing, but he could smell the spreading scent of death coming towards the two of them. If they didn't act now, both of them might fall here. While White Princess and little Sarah's dance steps were in perfect harmony. White Princess seemed to treat it all as a game. She just gently reminded little Sarah to keep up with her dance steps. Two burly trolls exerted all their strength to launch an attack on White Princess and her companion. However, out of nowhere, a crimson storm rose in the field. The unsuspecting trolls were instantly struck, left with numerous wounds. The terrifying magic power instantly threw the two trolls to the ground. Imperial Troll recognized that this was the work of the vampiric race. Despite the existence of class oppression, he possessed the troll sacred bloodline, which did not allow him to lose to an ordinary vampiric race female. Just as he was about to unleash the power of his sacred bloodline, he was horrified to discover that the seemingly harmless little bat was actually draining his sacred bloodline. How could an ordinary vampiric race have the ability to tamper with the sacred bloodline? What is the origin of this vampire? Linda and Thunder Hobby kept their eyes on the distant battle. That magic power is the blood domain bat, unique to the royal family of the vampiric race. Who is this, actually? The red-haired third brother at the ball venue. Roaring loudly and coming back online once again. Vampiric race is just a mere group. Don't underestimate the troll imperial family. A heavy blow from the troll race missed the target, and instead left a large gash on themselves. It turns out that it was the soul devourer Guatemala. Since the other party is a vampiric race princess, she herself suddenly grew a blood-red rose on her chest. Red-haired third brother did not have a chance to ask Princess Your Highness for forgiveness. His body, along with his soul, had been sucked dry. White Princess's face grew darker. Please don't use disgusting nicknames to address people. Idiot! White Princess retracts Soul Devourer. Look beyond the broken wall and the remnants of support. It seems that the city gates are blazing hot right now. The party time has to come to an end. White Princess spreads her wings, leaving only a thank you invitation. Then fly towards the city gates. The Up-Main thought, this certainly won't be discovered by others. All tricks are like this. Demon-kin is at the city gates. The soldiers are struggling to support and waiting for reinforcements, but only to await an even stronger demon-kin. Watching the corpses of teammates, the soldier captain did not back down in the slightest. The last line of defense must be held at all costs. Soldier captain is about to meet his end here. But suddenly, a bat-shaped magic power stops the battle. A white-haired loli appears not far away. I'm just taking a walk. Unfortunately, there are too many noisy bugs around. Then I can only come over to drive them away. This opening speech can also be used to blame and criticize others. The troll race is certainly not easy to provoke. Rushing in for a brawl, but was suddenly attacked by White Princess diving down. Touching down in Guatemala, the red magic power spread out along the ground fissures. Blood-red roses kept sprouting under the feet of the troll race. Vines. In the midst of entanglement, they were completely absorbed by Guatemala. White Princess watched the roses bloom continuously, enjoying this feast of recharging energy. But suddenly the soldier behind Captain drew his sword. Oh no! Just now he saved you. Is that it? Captain couldn't calm down even facing White Princess. No matter what White Princess did, she won't reveal any information inside the city. She definitely won't let her cross the city walls. The White Princess' eyes flashed a hint of light red. The soldiers were completely surrounded by the magic power of the bats. You are unwilling to speak. Then go home and stay there. Then turn back, and the previous troll race has been completely absorbed. On the smoky battlefield, there were only the White Princess and a figure left. Linda looked at the blood domain bat in front, holding the Lolita from Guatemala. This must be what the family mother mentioned. Queen Lilia's. But a breeze passed by. White Princess immediately waved the knife at Linda. Don't mention that cruel perverted woman in front of me. I'm not that princess anymore. White Princess didn't finish speaking. She suddenly fainted due to using too much magic power. Linda realized the urgency of the situation. White Princess must be fed food as soon as possible. Only the fallen paladin can be fed, as she is deeply entrenched in the battlefield at the moment. White Princess in Linda's arms murmured softly. Those are all for the sake of our family and home, said the warrior who sacrificed their own life. Absolutely cannot desecrate the bodies of these people. Linda did not retort. Just with a determined gaze, slowly unbuttoned the shirt. If your highness does not mind, Linda is willing to dedicate herself to the White Princess. Encountered a beautiful girl who took the initiative to undress. Our vampiric race's Lolita White Princess. Of course, just head straight for 800 miles away and say, I understand. Our little quirk just needs a rest, no need to be so sincere. Tuolin appeared timely behind him, indicating that the last attack was just the first wave. The next wave of attacks presumably won't be too far behind. The top priority is to help White Princess regroup as soon as possible. Tuolin expresses gratitude for saving lives. 1 box of blood bags is gifted. Also invited White Princess to cooperate in defending the city. The White Princess is puzzled by this tempting offer. Since it is about defending the city, wouldn't it be better to find a paladin who considers protecting the people as their duty? But now the south gate has suffered serious damage. Yet there is no sign of any supporting paladin, or rather, No paladins can be seen at any of the city gates. This is probably no longer just a problem of insufficient troops. The Radiant Paladin Templars are refusing to help those in need. Perhaps internal issues have led to all of this. The Lunar Paladin Order has limited members. They simply cannot support all city gates at the same time. So now we can only rely on White Princess to collaborate in resisting the Demon-kin. White Princess looks at Tuolin, who is half bowing, and the box of blood packs. In that case, then let's just agree for now. By the way, pull out the mouse droppings in Radiant Paladin Templar. But Thunder Hobby found a blind spot on the side. People have gone to support the south gate. What about the north gate? At this time, the northern gate wall has been breached. A group of troll race swaggered into the city. The leading Muncher's mouth cannon output hasn't ended yet. He was directly headshot. Many troll race fell in a daze. But the archer's position is not visible. I see. The north gate is guarded by 2 Lord-ranked paladins from the Lunar Paladin Order. One of them, a troll paladin, is repairing the city walls. This way, the north gate can be considered fully guarded. Headquarters in Lancy reconfirmed the repair information. Now it's up to the south gate. How many points does this little person have for shifting blame and drawing pie skills? Of course, it's full marks for being able to coax people willingly. Within the Radiant Paladin Templar branch, Lanyu just received news. The troll race at the north gate was successfully intercepted by the Lunar Paladin. Not only did they help stabilize the situation with those guards at the gate, they also successfully repaired the walls. Lanyu is feeling a bit like cursing out loud at this moment. How come these heretics always manage to ruin a good situation for themselves? No! The top priority is to immediately terminate the Demon-kin invasion plan, then quickly shift the blame to others. Lanyu promised a lot to his subordinates. The frontline paladin underreported, causing the main force to receive no news for a long time. Now only Giagra needs to quickly go to the front line to support and eliminate the invaders. Bring the heretics colluding with the Demon-kin to justice. That's definitely a promotion opportunity. When Giagra heard this, it was like a tempting offer with all the bells and whistles. We must quickly go there. On the other side outside the south gate, Linda's team is on fire. Linda is using magic power in the front, and in the back, there is a mixed doubles match with Tuol Lin and Xian. Even when Thunder Hobby meets others of the same kind, there is no concession at all. A head hammer indicates the stance. The White Princess looks like she's almost wiped out on the spot. Just trying to find a chance to slip away. But when I turned around, I found Little Sarah and Kur are being cornered by the troll race. The situation is critical. This time, Little Sarah finally fully trusted her teammate. She wanted to prioritize moving Kur first. The next second, only half of the troll race remained in front of her. What came walking towards her from behind was not the adorable little feet of the White Princess. Kur lost her composure instantly and burst into tears without any reservation. It turns out that the missing person, Princess White, has returned. Just now, Princess White Kur is online rushing over. But Linda, who doesn't know any better, interrupted. Linda's attempt to save Kur and Little Sarah was in vain. Their own highness also took the opportunity to run away. At a moment of despair, a blue holy power flashed by. So it turns out it was a paladin, thought Princess White, and others were colluding with the Demon-kin, about to sanction Little Sarah. Little Sarah can't sit still now. Clearly, Paladin ignored requests for help. After defeating the troll race, he came out to fight for good again. How can someone take advantage so easily? Is it Lunar Paladin? The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Landy has a bad temper. She's already thinking about resorting to force to make her point. Princess White stepped forward to stop and resolve the misunderstanding. Would Paladin Templar have misunderstandings in perception? Princess White's sword is still dripping with blood. The body of the troll race behind is also lying peacefully. This person actually managed to single-handedly slay the troll race. Our paladin listens to the opinions of the people. It's definitely not because they can't win in a fight. To put down weapons and have a good chat. It turns out that Landy watched as the troll race troops approached the city, but he still hadn't received the command to attack. In times of crisis, he could only lead his team secretly to provide support, although the most important duty of an Earth soldier is to obey orders. But losing what you are supposed to protect, what's the point? Landy held onto the paladin pendant, silently reminiscing. Sky Radiant Paladin would also agree with his approach, right? On the side, Linda's phone rang. Tuo Lin's responsible city gate has been defended. It's time to regroup and return to headquarters to report. Princess White just caught up with the team and hurriedly turned back. Although it's a bit strange for Princess White to say such a thing. But Landy did a good job indeed. Humble Landy did not have a chance to explain yet. Princess White and the others have already left. That's fine. It's not a loss to solve the problem without resorting to violence. Then the Paladin army arrived. Landy did not struggle either. Landy leading the team secretly is indeed a serious offense. Getting caught was also expected long ago. But the accusations shouted on the spot were colluding with the troll race to delay military information, and the crime of the bikini balloon for the beautiful girls. He was just planning to go to the swimming pool to relieve stress. She arrived at the scene, but found it in a mess. Who did this with such audacity? Daring to disrupt our beautiful moment with curry. After Princess White and his team returned to headquarters, Kerr was just about to start their two-person world as master and servant. Princess White, however, did not stop. He began to pant even before reaching the door. It turns out that our little Princess White Princess had just eaten enough. Plus, the battle consumed too much energy. White Princess is about to come out to meet the audience and the master. But Princess White is not prepared at all. It's too embarrassing to transform in front of so many people, isn't it? Princess White shrugged off Kerr's concern. He quickly fled the scene. He hadn't found a place to hide yet when he smelled the food. There is blood present in this base. Princess White splashed into the water with a thud. However, the one who picked up the blood vial became lowly White Princess. After a rumbling sound, White Princess then remembered. How come this base has such a big swimming pool? There is also food. A timely burst of singing came to her ears. Kuri is holding a balloon shaped like a killer whale, planning to start her own good evening time. Enjoy the pleasure brought by the oversized swimming pool. What? Which little brat dares to trespass into the private swimming pool of Paladin's Order's leader, Kuri? Kuri felt his way to the changing room, only to find a figure hiding behind the clothes. The long white hair that cascades to the ground, and a distinctive scent. It's hard not to have inappropriate thoughts. Intruding on a beautiful girl privately. Making a mess in the private swimming pool. Now it's only one step away from the beautiful girl. This discovery is too sudden, isn't it? Kuri slowly approached White Princess. He reached out and gently touched White Princess's forehead. Kuri's affectionate touch. Under the blanket, White Princess had a confused look on her face. The person next to her unexpectedly called herself Mother. She was Linda's. Kuri hadn't had contact with Linda for a long time. Still, she hugged her with both arms. Should I make a sound if I get hugged by the wrong auntie? Online waiting, quite urgent. White Princess dare not stay for a moment longer. Can only gamble and call out, Mummy. But Kuri saw through it in an instant. Our Linda never calls anyone Mummy. White Princess waved her hand. Taking advantage of the towel to cover their tracks, they immediately made a run for it. When Kuri broke free, only empty air was left. Upon closer inspection, there was actually a pair of bat-shaped hairpins on the ground. These hairpins should only belong to the lineage of royalty of the vampiric race. Who exactly is this little girl who just passed by? On the other side, the White Princess has just realized her mistake. My hairpin is unexpectedly missing. This time, Princess White is afraid that she will be completely exposed. In the previous episode, after White Princess lost the bad hairpin, she caused a big fuss all night long. This made Princess White's face heavy and his spirits low early in the morning. Little Sarah almost thought she had encountered a competitor who was trying to steal business in the middle of the night. Princess White launched a barrage of verbal attacks. The sparks are about to fly between the two again. Luckily Kur stopped in time. Wasn't little Sarah here to find the master for something? Little Sarah then expressed her intentions. Linda asked little Sarah to come and tell Princess White. I heard that all the paladins encountered last night were arrested by the Paladin Association on charges of colluding with trolls. They also plan to continue with a public trial tomorrow. It's clear that the Paladins' order within the city colluded with the trolls and hesitated to send out troops. Now, surprisingly, the victorious Paladins' order is trying to appease the public sentiment. Blaming the lower-ranking Paladins? The branch president Doro of the Paladin Association is still under the PUA. It's your honor to protect the big shots. Do rare opportunities still require overtime pay? Doro hung up the phone. The next second, the door in front was kicked to pieces. Princess White took a look and realized it was an old buddy. The figure in front is plump and caressing. He likes to keep important things hidden on himself. As long as you have a good chat with Doro in front of your eyes, you can get a straightforward answer. So Princess White certainly had no intention of making any unreasonable requests. Just for tomorrow's trial meeting. It's just a small request. The content creator subtly revealed that another pretty girl is going to appear. The one who could save the country ended up being one of the 4 who carried out public executions. The audience below, unaware of the truth, could only respond with insults. Is the truth going to be buried in the noise of power like this? On the judging stage, Princess White, clad in armor, takes a seat with the support of Doro. Is Princess White the big shot? Or is it Doro? The crowd surges to the side, only to see a black-haired mature lady walking gracefully. It turns out to be the sister of Princess Moon, Princess White, the commander-in-chief of the Flame Spear within the Paladin Association. The future head of House Flame Spear. Everyone took their seats as the officials on the side began the official proceedings. This ridiculous paladin judgment. He immediately started slinging mud at the Vanguard Paladin and Landy as soon as he opened his mouth. Every sentence is about evidence, but no actual evidence has been presented. Passing judgment before even showing a single piece of solid proof. Hold on. Did you invite Commander-in-Chief Princess Moon all the way here just to announce the result? Wouldn't sending a messenger pigeon be more efficient and cost-effective? The presiding officer still wants to argue a bit. Princess White certainly has no intention of giving the opportunity. The evidence is concrete. The person has been caught. What exactly is this evidence? Condemning without presenting any evidence seems a bit hasty. When this was said, George immediately responded, Evidence? I am the best evidence. This kind of promotion opportunity will not be given to anyone else. And then George started babbling to Princess White and others. However, when Princess White asked about the battle that day, George hesitated. At one point, he mentioned 8 teams. The level of lying on the spot made even a 3-year-old child want to laugh. Beheading. The Vanguard captain on the stage couldn't help but interrupt directly. 13 teams outside the city that day. Only 8 left in your mouth. With Corvo's continuous unfolding. On the side, Giagra couldn't sit still either. This interrupts the solo performance and also provokes the performer to drink water. What happens when Corvo wields his long sword and strikes? A strike of the sword. The person lying injured on the ground is actually the Judge George. Before anyone is judged and sentenced, no organization or individual shall execute them. George's actions are simply provoking. The Paladin Association is making a wild commotion on the road. Now that George has fallen, Lanyu can't sit still. He's the one who often takes the blame, points fingers at others, and is good at shifting blame. Also, he's the gunner behind the scenes. This is undoubtedly the fuse for the investigation into the sale of the city of It. By comparing with the previous sentence, both Commander-in-Chief Princess Moon and the on-site crowd already have the answer in their hearts. This George lying lifeless on the ground. He is the real traitor. As the crowd below started to make noise, the announcer still wanted to present the so-called evidence. Princess Moon intervened in time. There are many doubts and insufficient evidence in this case. Therefore, the case has been sent back for retrial. All suspects are temporarily released. They enter a period of judicial observation. The Paladin Association will investigate the case thoroughly. Will also reveal the truth to the public. Princess Moon's inspiring actions. The crowd cheered without exception. Commander-in-Chief Princess Moon is wise. Princess White gazed silently toward the presidential platform. Princess Moon, who once held a teddy bear. She has already disappeared without anyone noticing. She slowly became more refined and elegant. Inside the hallway, Lanyu ran into Princess Moon and received a powerful blow before she even had a chance to speak. If Minister Lan has any objections, remember to report to the senior officials of the Paladin Association. The Paladin Association will also provide a fair judgment for today's events. Lanyu clenched her fists tightly. Can only bow and give thanks. It is true that higher-ranking officials have more power. Inside the court, Princess White, seeing the situation, was preparing to sneak away but was stopped. It turned out that Princess White had forgotten to sign the judgment record. Princess White took the opportunity to fabricate a story about a chicken butler. Upon closer inspection, Papa Lee? Goodness. This kid seems to have a bit of an advantage. However, our old man is not easy to deal with either. A handshake made Princess White start to regret. Just as Princess White was wondering if it was Princess Moon's idea, Landy suddenly appeared in front of Princess White. A bow stunned Princess White. In order to repay the life-saving grace of Princess White, Landy wanted to remember their name and appearance to fully repay them in the future. Oh, let's talk about it standing up. If you don't agree, Landy won't stand up. Alright, pick up your head. Oh, knocked on the forehead. Only Princess White's helmet and Landy's was left on the ground. What a pity. This is the former Paladin King who can transform into a lowly. Nowadays, returning to the new Paladin's order, it failed due to a positioning system. In just 1 second, you will reach the peak that all of you have been dreaming of. 30 seconds ago, our Nico girl little Sarah just thanked all the audience. Fully prepared and ready to take a bath. But unexpectedly, water splashed all over the bathroom. Under the water mist is actually Princess White, this poor guy. You stinky hooligan! I'm going to report you to the discipline department. You're done for. Confessing within the discipline department may lead to a lighter punishment. Resisting strictly looms over Princess White's head. Don't be fooled by our Princess White's timid appearance. The reason for entering the women's dormitory. Since the coordinates were set incorrectly when using the teleportation system. This excuse is used every year. This year's excuse is the most ridiculous. If you want to deceive the discipline department, at least come up with a more plausible excuse. But what can Princess White say? He should just go back and beat Xian up. It looks like no explanations are going to work. Fortunately, Lancy appeared in time to redeem Princess White. Although the minister did not want to release the person, but still had to hand over the little person in front of him to Lancy. After saying goodbye to the minister, the discipline department entered a long period of silence. It wasn't until Princess White felt a chill down his back. Lancy directly served an ear meal. Long time no see. Princess White just did such a thing. It's really shameful. Tomato Group's face. no matter how he struggles to explain. Princess White is like a mute eating a bitter fruit at the moment. But Lancey suddenly said, "It's better to save your energy and tell the leader." This leader is Linda's mother. The vampiric race. Lancey discreetly warned Princess White not to act rashly. But Princess White quickly became clever. "Linda's mother? Could it be the one from the swimming pool last time? The one who touched my head?" Outside the city walls, weapons litter the ground. The troll foot soldiers are no longer arrogant. Even the captive cat race members are trembling in fear. The leader of the troll race is now furious. That human minister is indeed ruthless, using cooperation as a guise to lure everyone into this trap. The troll race team has suffered at least a 50% loss. The most troublesome part is that among them are members of the imperial family. Although the imperial family is not well liked, they still have some connections. How can the shamans just let this go when they return? The leader is still pondering countermeasures. While patrolling, the Demon King came to report. There were actually people outside the camp delivering letters. Shameless individuals. They had the audacity to send letters even in this situation. The leader took immediate action and turned the letters into waste paper. The waste paper that can be torn up ignited green flames. Lanyu unexpectedly transformed into a phantom appearing before their eyes. Lanyu began to talk as soon as he opened his mouth. The failure of this siege was indeed unexpected. After all, no one could have anticipated that the Lunar Paladin would come out to cause trouble. Now a new barrier has been generated. The barrier launcher in the hands of the troll race will soon become scrap metal. Instead of slinking away, it's better to cooperate again to take down the city. The boss is still weighing the pros and cons, while the third behind them appears more excited. After all, they have no way out. Not to mention, the magic technique used by the person in front of us is not ordinary. As a first-order species among humans, using the crushing-level magic technique is already the limit. But Lanyu has shown capabilities beyond the majority of humans. His strength is said to be comparable to the troll race, or even Lanyu in the end. Still, waiting for the expected outcome. Only to see the phantom burning again. The original waste paper turned into a planning document again. He is one of the admired members of the Paladin's order in the people's hearts. But now he appears in this mixed-up place of fish and dragons, amidst the flashy lights and wine. Don't be fooled by his serious appearance. He paid no attention to the voluptuous bunny girl beside him. When the boss brought out the new goods from last week, Paladin immediately changed his expression. A groper reached out, not taking the new goods. Instead, it was the soft and cute bunny girl in front of him. The Paladin no longer pretends to be innocent as he holds the little bunny girl. "Boss, rest assured. Lord Lanyu has spoken. Whoever is causing trouble here will have to deal with Paladin Templar." The boss doesn't look like someone who runs a legitimate business. Immediately nodding and bowing, letting Paladin represent himself to say hello to Lanyu. But the next second, Paladin's pupils dilated, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Saying hello? He was afraid he wouldn't have the chance anymore. Just then, the crowd suddenly dispersed. Paladin was unexpectedly stabbed through the chest with a knife. This person, who is a paladin, colluded with evil forces and oppressed the people. Such a despicable person does not deserve to live and receive the admiration of others. The boss watched as his protective umbrella collapsed. He raised his hand and transformed it into purple claws, heading straight for the waitress. The little troublemaker suddenly causing a commotion. Doesn't even know whose territory this is. But a cold voice came from the indoor lights.